Yo, what if we told you Drake, The Drake just got caught up in a courtroom scandal so wild, it's got the entire industry holding its breath. Forget the headlines you've seen before, because this time, the rumors aren't just messy, they're dangerous. It's in a shocking twist no one saw coming. Court documents have surfaced, tying the sixth god to a hidden child. A mystery woman with international ties, and a legal battle that could tear down the carefully curated empire he's built for. Over a decade, sources say the courtroom was on fire. People gasping, phones snatched, and the name Aubrey Graham being mentioned in connection with sealed birth records, million-dollar hush agreements, and a secret trip to Istanbul that even his closest friends claim they never knew about. And just when it couldn't get any more chaotic, it's a well-known artist who used to be close with Drake, took the stand and dropped a name that nobody expected to hear. Fans are spiraling. The OVO team has gone completely silent. And Champagne Papi? He hasn't said a single word. Is the world's most elusive superstar finally out of secrets? Or is this just another smokescreen in a much bigger cover-up? Buckle up, because what happens next will shock you. Drama erupted late last night when a private court session held in Los Angeles was interrupted by a leak so explosive. It's now being called one of the biggest celebrity exposes of the decade. And at the center of it all, Aubrey Drake Graham. Yes, the world's most beloved certified lover boy was just dragged into a firestorm involving a hidden child, an international romance, and a courtroom testimony that left fans and insiders completely stunned. It all started when an anonymous insider sent a sealed court transcript to a notorious gossip blogger. The blogger, known for exposing Hollywood secrets. Posted, just 3 lines before deleting it, but by then, the damage was done. The quote read, "The child was born overseas. The mother was paid off." Drake knew everything. Within minutes, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok exploded. What child? What mother? And most importantly, how did this all end up in court? Turns out, a high-profile paternity case was quietly underway for the past 6 months involving an unnamed Canadian male celebrity and a woman from Istanbul. The case had been sealed due to international privacy laws and a series of alleged influence contracts that prevented public exposure. But once the leaked transcript hit the internet, eagle-eyed fans noticed key clues, words like OVO Toronto native and platinum-selling artist were sprinkled throughout the document. Within hours, all fingers were pointing toward Drake. But here's where it gets even messier. Sources close to the situation claim the woman in question isn't just some random fan or groupie. She's reportedly a former model-turned-entrepreneur named Layla, who was once spotted backstage during Drake's European tour 2 years ago. She has kept a low profile ever since until now. Multiple insiders claim Drake met Layla during a private after-party in Turkey, where she worked with a luxury brand sponsoring one of the events. They were seen leaving together by a few fans, but nobody thought much of it at the time. Until 9 months later. Layla allegedly gave birth to a baby girl and disappeared from social media entirely. Fast forward to now. Layla's legal team has reportedly filed a petition in Los Angeles, where she currently resides, to legally establish paternity. And guess who's been quietly attending these closed-door hearings? None other than Drake himself. Courtroom witnesses say he showed up in disguise, hoodie pulled low, face covered with a mask, and surrounded by heavy security. But even with all that secrecy, one source says it was obviously him. The voice, the posture, the energy, you don't mistake Drake when he walks into a room. But here's where things hit a breaking point. During the most recent hearing, a witness took the stand, someone very familiar to Drake's inner circle. And when he opened his mouth, jaws dropped. It was none other than Camille, an ex-member of Drake's tour management team who was let go last year under mysterious circumstances. No one really knew why he was fired, till now. Under oath, Camille revealed that he personally arranged accommodations and travel documents for Layla during multiple points of Drake's 2023 European tour. He even claimed that Drake asked him to set up secure communication lines between them and had lawyers draft a private agreement to prevent her from speaking publicly. I was told to make sure she stayed happy, stayed quiet, and didn't cause headlines, Camille said. When the baby was born, there was panic. People started scrambling. Fans were instantly reminded of the time Drake was previously accused of hiding a child before confirming a Damas to the world. But this situation, it feels different, darker, more calculated. Because this time, there's international law involved. There's money trails. And according to court filings, Layla's lawyers are pushing for full transparency and acknowledgement, claiming their client and her child have been marginalized and pressured into silence. And the public, they're eating it up. Comments flooded social media with people asking the same question. If this is real, why hasn't Drake said anything? Why hasn't his team shut it down? Some believe he's staying quiet because it's true. Others think he's gearing up for a legal counterstrike. But what nobody can deny is the tension. And that's when the second twist hit. A voice recording uploaded anonymously to a subreddit. The clip allegedly captures a tense conversation between Drake and a woman, presumably Layla. In the clip, the man says, "I'm not ready for the world to know. You knew what this was. This ain't supposed to get out?" The woman responds, "She's your daughter. Can't just keep her in the dark forever." Whether the clip is real or not, fans have already declared war. Some are defending Drake, claiming he's being extorted. Others are accusing him of repeating old patterns. Meanwhile, Layla's lawyer released a short but powerful statement to the press, saying, "Our client is not seeking fame. She is seeking truth and a future for her child." And just when things couldn't spiral any harder, Champagne Poppy's own father, Dennis Graham, chimed in with a cryptic post on his Instagram story. "The past always catches up, even when you're sprinting." Fans were shook. Was he throwing shade at his own son? Or was he warning him? And the drama didn't stop there. Reports surfaced that Layla and her daughter had to be moved to a secure location after receiving threats online. Drake's legal team reportedly offered a settlement deal, something Layla turned down. Why? Because, according to close sources, she doesn't want the money, she wants her child to be claimed. With every new leak, the mystery deepens, and right as the first court video began gaining traction online, one of Drake's closest celebrity friends unfollowed him on Instagram. Fans noticed almost immediately that Noah 40, Shabib Drake's longtime producer and brother-like figure, quietly removed Drake from his following list. Speculation ran wild. Did 40 know something? Was there a falling out? All we know is this: the silence from Drake's camp is only making it worse, and fans are starting to dig deeper into his past, pulling up old lyrics, interviews, and photo archives for any clue that could prove this child's existence. And as this whirlwind of courtrooms, international secrets, and exposed lies continues to spiral, one thing is becoming clear: this is no ordinary paternity scandal. This is something bigger. And just as things reached a boiling point in that courtroom, with Layla refusing to back down and Camille's testimony shaking Drake's credibility, the judge made a move that nobody saw coming. She ordered a subpoena for another witness, and that's where part one ends, with a name being whispered in the hallways of the courthouse. A name connected to Drake in ways that go far beyond music. A name that might just change everything. The name whispered through the courthouse hallway was barely audible to those outside, but for those inside, it rang like a bomb going off. The judge, stone-faced and measured, announced that the next subpoenaed witness would be someone with critical knowledge of the personal and financial dealings surrounding the alleged paternity arrangement. And when the papers were handed off to the bailiff, reporters managed to catch a glimpse. The name: Sophie B. No last name, no title, just Sophie B. But fans didn't need anything more. Within minutes, the internet went into a frenzy. Timelines exploded. Conspiracy threads multiplied. Because anyone who's been following Drake for the last 5 years knows exactly who that is. Sophie Brusso, the mother of Drake's first publicly confirmed child, Adonis. Now the entire story was spiraling out of control. If Sophie was being dragged into this case, what did she know? Why did the judge think she was important? And most of all, was Drake hiding more than just one child? By the time the second hearing began that week, paparazzi were stationed outside the courthouse. Drake didn't show up this time, only his legal team. Layla was present, dressed sharply but visibly emotional, and sitting just behind her attorneys. Tension could be felt in every seat. And then the door opened. Sophie walked in quietly. No makeup, no entourage, just her and a folder. The room went silent. The judge asked her directly, "Miss Brusso, are you familiar with the current petitioner and the respondent?" She replied, "Yes, very familiar." And that's when she dropped the first bombshell of the day. "I was made aware of the child's existence over a year ago. Aubrey told me personally. He said he wasn't ready to go through what we went through all over again, especially not in public." Gasps rippled through the room. Drake knew. He knew, and he'd told the mother of his first child, but not the world, not his friends, not even his inner circle. He was scared, Sophie continued, but it wasn't about being a father. It was about everything else. The headlines, the fans, the judgment. The judge nodded, taking notes. The prosecution leaned in. "Did Mr. Graham ever express to you that he intended to keep the second child a secret?" Sophie paused, not directly, but he kept pushing the idea that going public would ruin things, not just for him, but for the kids too. Meanwhile, Layla sat with tears in her eyes. No outbursts, no reaction, just quiet pain. And that pain was about to be turned up to full volume. The next witness called to the stand was a surprise to everyone. Evan, Drake's legal team. A man in his late 40s with a calm presence and a deep accent stepped forward. He identified himself as Hakan Demir, a Turkish businessman and former partner in one of Layla's luxury brand ventures. But what he had to say, absolutely game-changing. "I was there when Aubrey first met Layla," Hakan began. "I coordinated his brand deal for our champagne sponsor in Istanbul. He asked about her. Okay, they were together more than once. How many times?" The judge asked. "At least 5 different nights. She stayed at his private suite. I arranged the security personally." The courtroom was stunned. 5 nights. That's not just a fling. That's a full-on situation. Hakan went further, claiming that after Layla got pregnant, she reached out to Drake's team privately. She didn't want drama. She didn't ask for money. She just wanted a conversation. But instead of answers, she got contracts, NDAs, threats of being sued. And here's where the plot thickens even more. Hakan then revealed he was offered $250,000 to forget certain travel records and delete security footage. He declined the money, but he kept the records. And now they're being submitted too. The court. Suddenly, what started as a messy secret looked more and more like a coordinated cover-up. Screenshots, emails, itinerary, logs, all connecting Layla's story to actual documented movements. And still no statement from Drake. Outside the courthouse, fans were going wild. OVO merch was being burned in protest. Others defended Drake fiercely, claiming the whole case was just a scam for attention. But inside those walls, things were getting even more complicated. The judge paused proceedings, saying, "The court is now considering not only the paternity issue, but the ethics and legality of the agreements that followed. The question is not just whether the child exists, but whether there was a deliberate attempt to erase their existence." Back at Drake's compound in Toronto, sources claimed the energy was tense. Security was doubled. Visitors were restricted. One insider said he's usually calm in chaos, but this time, he's locked in the studio all night. minutes, barely speaking. And yet amid the storm, a rumor began circulating. A new baby picture, allegedly of Layla's child, leaked online through a private parenting forum. The post was deleted within minutes, but not before users claimed the baby bore a striking resemblance to Drake's son, Adonis. The same eyes, the same curls, the same energy. And then came the next twist. Legolas' legal team confirmed that a DNA sample had been requested from Drake's attorneys, and not only had they delayed the submission, but they had also requested private labs instead of court-appointed ones. Fans quickly interpreted this as suspicious. If he ain't hiding something, one tweet read, "Why the hesitation?" Then, as if the universe wanted to add one more twist to the chaos, a mysterious Instagram account popped up under the handle @DrakesSecret, posting screenshots and audio clips that appeared to show Drake's inner team discussing ways to contain the situation. One clip allegedly featured a voice that sounded like Noah 40 Shabib saying, "This gets out, it's not just the girl, it's the whole brand. We're talking music, endorsements, everything." While the account was taken down quickly, screenshots spread like wildfire. Conspiracy channels went live. Reddit threads broke records. And people began asking questions no one ever imagined they'd ask again. Was Drake living a double life? Was this child really being hidden? Intentionally? And just as the court was preparing to resume after a short break, Layla stood up. She wasn't supposed to speak yet. Her lawyer tried to pull her down, but she shook her head. "Your Honor," she said through tears, "I just want the truth. On the record, this isn't about money. It never was. My daughter deserves to know who her father is, not from court papers, not from blogs, from him." The room froze. The judge stared at her for a moment, then nodded. "Your statement has been acknowledged." And with that, the judge ordered a recess until the following day, when Drake would be compelled to respond, either by statement or by taking the stand. As the crowd exited the courtroom, the energy was overwhelming. Even the reporters looked shaken, because tomorrow, the man behind the mystery has to speak. And in part 3, we finally get answers, or at least the answers Drake is willing to give. But the real question, will they be enough? Because the world isn't just watching anymore. It's judging. The next morning, the world woke up different. News vans circled the courthouse. Fans lined the sidewalks like they were waiting for concert tickets. Security presence was doubled, and every major gossip outlet had gone live. Even mainstream news stations were now picking up the story. What began as whispers of a hidden child had officially erupted into a global media storm. But none of that compared to what everyone was waiting for. Drake. And just before 9 a.m., in a fleet of black SUVs with tinted windows and license plates blocked out, he arrived. Aubrey Drake Graham stepped out, head low, dressed in all black. No jewelry. No entourage. Just him, his lawyers, and a look on his face that wasn't fear, but something colder, more calculated. The internet went insane at chats like #DrakeBabyTruth, #MysteryDaughter, and #DrakeTestimony started trending within minutes. Live streams from inside the courtroom were strictly prohibited, but leaks. The leaks were inevitable. And what those leaks revealed from the inside was pure chaos. When Drake took the stand, the room reportedly fell so silent you could hear the judge's pen scratching across paper. He didn't waste time. "I'm here because I was advised this situation couldn't be contained privately," he said, voice steady but low. "This has been one of the most painful, confusing moments of my life." But when pressed about the child's existence, he paused and then dropped a line that left the courtroom stunned. "I have reason to believe the child may be mine, but I haven't been given proper access to confirm it on my own terms." Gasps. Whispers. Layla's hands visibly clenched in her lap. Her lawyer stood up immediately, objecting. This is the very type of delay tactic we've been fighting. He was given 3 different opportunities to comply with court-approved DNA testing. He declined every one. The judge intervened. "Mr. Graham, have you willfully avoided DNA testing?" Drake sighed. "I didn't avoid. I requested a neutral process without the media, without leaks. I don't want to go through what I went through with Adonis all over again. That was hell." For a moment, people sympathized. But then came the prosecutor's follow-up. "Were you aware that Ms. Layla had given birth to your potential child over a year ago?" Drake didn't deny it. "Yes, I knew." And just like that, the headline wrote itself. Drake confirms he knew about the child but stayed silent for over a year. Lele broke down crying. Her lawyer put a protective arm around her. And the fans, they were split right down the middle. Some felt for Drake. Others turned on him completely. And then came the bombshell. The prosecutor asked if any payments had been made to Ms. Layla to anyone on her behalf. Drake's single quotes S lawyer tried to interject. But the judge allowed the question. Drake nodded slowly. "Yes, there was a one-time financial transaction through my business manager." "How much?" the judge asked. $1 million, he answered flatly. The courtroom exploded. $1 million. For what? Was this money for the child's care? The judge asked. Drake hesitated. "It was for privacy. I didn't want it to become a media circus. I've made mistakes trying to protect people and ended up hurting them." At this point, Layla stood up again. "So why lie?" she asked, voice trembling. "Why pretend we didn't exist? We didn't exist." The judge told her to sit, but the damage was already done. The world now saw a woman scorned, not just by betrayal but by public erasure, and the man responsible was sitting stone-faced on the witness stand. Drake left the courtroom quickly. After his testimony, no comments, no smiles. But the story, it was far from over, because that night another recording leaked. And this time, it wasn't just whispers. It was explosive. In the clip allegedly captured during a phone call between Drake and a close friend, he could be heard saying, "I thought if I gave her that money, it'd buy me some time. I didn't expect her to take it to court. She was solid." The backlash was immediate. Fans, especially women, began flooding Drake's comment sections with baby emojis, snake emojis, and heartbreak messages. The OVO subreddit shut down temporarily after a flood of angry posts. And female rappers, some of whom had stayed quiet about him in the past, began subtweeting hard. One major female artist even posted, "Funny how some men build careers off women's pain, then disappear when the truth drops." But the most shocking reaction came from none other than Sophie Brusso herself on her stories. She posted a short caption over a black screen. "History repeats itself when you let the same lies live." Boom! Drake was now being accused not just of secrecy, but of a pattern of dealing with the women in his life like liabilities instead of partners. And then Layla's side released photos, not of the child, not of her pregnancy, but of Drake with her. Private photos. Intimate moments. Him holding her close. Him asleep on her couch. Them laughing together in a car with tinted windows. Timestamps verified. Dates matching his tour schedule. And fans were shattered. How could someone who wrote love songs this deep, this romantic, this emotionally vulnerable be doing this behind the scenes? But even more than that, where was the line between privacy and deception? As public support started to split, Drake's inner circle began to show cracks. Noah 40 Shabib still hadn't publicly addressed the situation. OVO Sound posted nothing. Not even a quiet repost. But one person did speak out. Drake's mother. Sandy Graham posted a single quote on her Instagram story that sent shockwaves. "The truth sets you free. But first, it destroys everything that was built on lies." And with that, fans knew it was real. The house of cards was trembling. And yet, there was still one more twist waiting. A journalist with inside access to court records leaked an upcoming witness list, and on it, a woman listed only as C. Graham. The internet instantly lost it. Because the only C. Graham connected to Drake is Chloe Graham, his half-sister, the one he never talks about, and the leak said she was set to testify about conversations with Aubrey Graham regarding long-term paternity concerns and reputation management. Translation: his own sister was about to take the stand. As fans braced for what was coming, theories ran wild. Was Chloe being forced to testify? Or had she had enough of the silence? Either way, one thing was clear: the next court session wasn't just going to be explosive, it was going to change the public's view of Drake forever. The courtroom was buzzing long before the next hearing even started. News outlets camped outside all night. Fans traded rumors online, and people from every corner of the internet waited to see how this entire scandal would unfold. But what everyone was really waiting for was her Chloe Graham Drake's half-sister, the one he almost never mentioned publicly, the one most fans didn't even know existed until now, and the one whose name had just landed at the center of the most controversial moment of his career. When Chloe entered the courtroom, it was nothing like people expected. No designer brands, no glam team, just a plain gray coat, her hair tied back, and an expression that said she was not here for the cameras. Reporters said she looked calm, but her eyes were heavy, like she was carrying more than just family secrets, as she was sworn in and took the stand. Even the judge looked slightly tense. It's not every day you watch a global superstar's own sibling testify against him in a case that has the entire world watching. The judge asked directly, "Miss Graham, can you explain the nature of your relationship with the respondent?" Chloe nodded, voice clear but emotional. "He's my half-brother. I've known him since I was 6. We were never super close, but we talked, especially when things in his life got messy." And just like that, the room went silent again, because that meant she had history. Yes, she had context. She wasn't just some random family member dragged in for legal optics. She knew him. And what she said next changed everything. "He told me about the baby almost a year ago. He said it was complicated, that the timing was bad, and he didn't want it to mess with his image," he said. "I already did the whole deadbeat dad storyline once. Kai, I'm not doing it again on stage." Gasps echoed through the room. The prosecutor leaned forward immediately. Did he ever express a willingness to acknowledge the child publicly? Chloe shook her head. No, he wanted to settle it quietly. He even joked that if it came out, he'd just buy more press coverage to spin it. The fans listening to the leaks were devastated. What had always been seen as calculated brand protection now sounded like manipulation, like fear. Like a man trying to protect an empire of vulnerability and realness by hiding the very real things that didn't fit the narrative. And Layla. She sat there silently, holding back tears. But this time wasn't just sadness. It was anger. And it spilled over when the next witness was unexpectedly called Dawn K, anonymous former OVO assistant screened behind a protective divider to preserve privacy, testified that they were the one who initially contacted Layla with the settlement offer. "He didn't want the baby public," the witness said. "He said it would complicate his tour plans, that he couldn't afford another paternity scandal so soon after Adonis." They even described an email trail showing multiple correspondences from Drake's team using terms like containment, leverage, and brand integrity. And that's when the judge said something no one expected. This is no longer just a paternity hearing. This is approaching defamation, coercion, and brand abuse. "I am considering escalating this to a federal privacy case if further evidence supports intentional silencing." Drake's legal team panicked. Motions were filed. Court was adjourned early, but the damage is already done outside. Reporters were already calling it the unraveling of Drake and the public. Completely torn. Some said Layla was brave. Others accused her of exploiting the moment. But the photos, recordings, and testimonies made one thing very clear. This wasn't made up. This wasn't cloud chasing. This was real. But the biggest turn came that night. Leyla released an official statement on her Instagram, accompanied by a black and white video montage of her daughter. No baby face was shown. Tiny fingers. A crib. A blurry clip of a lullaby playing while Layla kissed the baby's forehead. The caption read, "To my daughter, you are not a secret. You are not shame. You are not a problem to fix. You are loved, even when the world tries to silence your name." Millions of likes flooded in. Support from celebrities poured in quietly. Some reposted her story. Others dropped subtle likes. And fans who once idolized Drake began to ask a question no one expected. How long has he been performing real emotions while hiding real life? The next morning, the judge ordered Drake's team to submit to immediate court-supervised DNA testing. No private labs, no negotiated timelines. The judge gave them 48 hours, and this time, there was no backing out. But before the session ended, something happened that nobody predicted. Drake's mother, Sandy Graham, requested to speak on record. The judge hesitated but allowed it. She stood in front of the courtroom, hands trembling, and said, "I have always protected my son. I raised him as best as I could with love and care and attention, but I also taught him accountability. And right now, I believe it's time for Aubrey to show the world who he really is, not as an artist, not as a brand, but as a man." Her voice broke at the end, and with that, she walked out. Outside, the mood was tense. Fans didn't cheer. No chants, no laughter. It's just quiet, because they all knew what was coming next. And then came the leak. A verified court staff member anonymously shared the DNA results to a journalist within hours of submission, and the results, positive. The child was Drake's. At that moment, it was no longer speculation, no longer rumor. No longer he said she said. It was fact. Drake had a second child. He knew about it, he tried to keep it hidden, and now the world knew too in response. His team released a carefully written public statement. Mr. Graham acknowledges paternity of the child named in the case involving Miss Layla. He deeply regrets the pain caused by his choices and has committed to privately reconciling with the child and her mother. Moving forward, his focus will be on family, growth, and healing. But fans didn't want a press release. They wanted accountability. The backlash continued. Endorsements began to pause campaigns. One luxury brand even removed a commercial featuring Drake from their homepage. Fan forums began tracking unfollows from influencers and artists alike. Memes popped up everywhere. Hiding your feelings like Drake hides his kids started trending. But amid all that noise was a quiet moment. A single Instagram post from Drake himself, no caption, just a photo of two little shoes on a hardwood floor. And in the background, blurry but visible, tiny hand reaching out to grab them. It was the first soft acknowledgement. No tags. No names. Just the smallest gesture. And still, the comments divided. Some said finally, others said too little, too late. But one fan wrote something that summed it all up. The man who gave us Marvin's Room, take care, and nothing was. The same was out here hiding his most human truth. Guess even Drake forgot what vulnerability really means. And just like that, the image went viral. This scandal, this truth, this hidden chapter, it wasn't going to fade away. It had permanently rewritten the story of Drake. And the world was still left wondering, what else was hidden? Because now that one truth was out, what other secrets were buried just beneath the surface? But the court saga may be over, and the world, they're still waiting for answers. So now the truth is out. Drake, the global icon known for his emotional transparency in music, has been caught up in one of the most shocking celebrity revelations of the decade. A hidden child, a mystery woman, secret payments, courtroom drama, and family members stepping forward to speak truths that Drake himself tried to bury. We've seen emotional testimonies from his half-sister, heart-wrenching statements from the child's mother, Layla, and even a bold appearance by his own mother calling for accountability. Fans are divided, brands are distancing, and the world is left stunned that the same man who once told us I wasn't hiding my kid from the world, I was hiding the world from my kid, may have actually done just that again. But this time, it wasn't just about avoiding the spotlight. It was about calculated decisions, controlling the narrative, and protecting a carefully built empire. Yet, no matter how big the brand, the truth has a way of rising. And it just did. The real question now is, where does Drake go from here? Will he step up and become the father his daughter needs? Not just behind closed doors, but openly and honestly. Will he use this moment to grow, heal, and maybe even address his choices through the one medium he's always trusted, his music? Or will this become just another chapter in a career filled with brilliance, heartbreak, and controversy? We want to hear from you. Do you think Drake can bounce back from this? Was the apology enough? Or did it come too late? Is this redemption or reputation ruin? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you want the realest, wildest, and most unfiltered takes in the game. Because in the world of celebrity drama, the truth always has a beat, and we've got the mic.